It's Off Topic with Tim, Matt, and Bill. All three of us are here this week. We're going to talk prop bets, what they are, and why it's such a bad idea to link pro sports to official gambling. Welcome to Off Topic with Tim, Matt, and Bill, our pugnacious, scrappy patchwork of a sports podcast that always goes off topic. Almost didn't get that one out. Okay, now, there has been a major problem with professional sports betting and pro sports. In other words, people getting in mixed up with the wrong kind of people. So, we want to discuss this. This happened to the NBA and Major League Baseball, respectively. And the issue is prop bets, proposition bets. Now, I Googled this, so we have a definition. A prop bet in-game wagering that allows for more granular betting. Example with baseball would be, I'm going to bet that the Guardians are going to beat the Jays by 1 point, but I'm also going to bet that the first pitch is going to be a strike.
Yeah.
And of course there's a parlay, which is where you add on to your original bet and they have to sort of follow in consecutively. Everything has to work to get the parlay, where this is sort of a side bet. It's a little bit confusing. I don't gamble, but there's been a huge problem with prop bets. NBA players or coaches or trainers have been implicated in this, giving information to, I guess, the mafia, I suppose, with the lack of a better term. And then most recently in Major League Baseball, Cleveland Guardian pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz taking bribes to throw pitches in the dirt or whatever so somebody else can win this prop bet. Now, the crazy thing about MLB is that Emmanuel Clase is in a 5-year, $20 million contract, and Luis Ortiz is standing to make about $800,000 a year, being new, and the bribes were as little as $5,000 to $6,000 each.
Yeah,
it's a head scratcher. I don't get it. Well, you throw, and they're looking at upwards to 60 years in prison for this, over $5 or $6 grand. I mean, this is insane. But it opens up the can of worms of illegal sports betting in professional sports and the problems that can be associated with that. Bill, I'm going to hand it over to you. What's your take on all this?
Well, look, legal sports betting has exploded in the States, and I'm sure it's growing in Canada as well. These bets have been out there for a long time, but you used to place it with the bookie in the locker room at the country club.
Yeah.
And so it's the access to the betting platforms that really have accelerated this.
There's an app for that.
These latest two scandals are pretty troubling, though, right? Like the NBA one, especially. You've got a head coach involved. You've got, a top 5 player involved. You've got supposedly a mafia crime family involved. Like, these things are getting serious, and the NFL has been out in front, kind of limiting some of this stuff. But MLB and the NBA, they're relatively newbies, and so they've got to put some guidelines in place. And MLB has already reacted.
Yeah,
and they're like this whole first pitch is a strike kind of thing. You're going to see both of the major independent sports books here, FanDuel and DraftKings, have to stop taking those bets over $200.
Yeah.
So that's the max you can win, basically.
Right. Well, they're saying the issue isn't so much the sports gambling, who's going to win, who's going to lose, over how many points. It's these other bets that, or the thorns on the rose. And they're just saying, look, just get rid of the prop bets, ban the prop bets, and you'll solve part of the problem. And to be fair to some of the leagues, it's new. Like they haven't dealt with this
Oh yeah.
on this level before, so they can't always foresee the issues. And maybe one lawyer at MLB in New York is like, look, this could be a real problem. And they're like, well, how? If you don't do this, you don't understand how it works. I mean, I had to Google what a prop bet was. I didn't know what this thing was, right? But at the same time, do your homework for God's sakes, and you're asking for trouble, right?
So what Bill's saying there, and I just pulled up an article because Congress is getting involved.
Yeah.
Right. They've got a committee that they're talking to Manfred and whatnot. But ESPN reached out to MLB for a comment. On Monday, MLB announced that its sportsbook partners had agreed to place a $200 limit on these bets, which makes it like you don't win a lot of money.
No.
You're not dropping $100,000 on this bet and winning 3-1.
Yeah.
Right. $200. So now it's the pressures were taken to reduce the amount that can be won from pitch level bets and therefore decrease the incentive of manipulation.
Yeah.
So if you don't let them throw a ton of cash at it, it could be just a little add on that makes your overall thing a bit bigger.
Yeah. Or you just get rid of it altogether.
And that was the origin of these prop bets, right?
Yeah.
The one in question, or the ones in question with Class A and Ortiz, bettors won almost $500,000 on those,
and they're getting paid $5,000.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part. They're getting bribes of $5,000,
right? For those
and
guys.
It's like, what?
Yeah,
like $5,000. Like you're making
prop bets can be
20
really
million.
fun.
Yeah,
they can be really fun. Like there's a prop bet on the Super Bowl to pick the color of the Gatorade that gets dumped on the winning coach.
Yeah.
But I don't expect to win $500,000 for that bet, right? Like,
no.
Yeah.
But I mean, they should limit it to like $50, where it just isn't even worth making the bet, right?
Yeah.
And professional sports gambling's been around a long time, and there's been a lot of calls for to be able to legally bet on pro sports because the return is way better than, say, lottery tickets, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you have to have limitations in place. I mean, MLB, I'm not a fan of MLB head office. Like, we're in a golden age of Major League Baseball. I'm getting off topic here, and their marketing is terrible.
Yeah,
like the teams have lost money, and you've got Juan Soto and Pete Alonso with the Mets, and they lost $300 million. Like, there's something wrong with the way they market it. Like, they need to get their head out of their ass and figure this out. But so I'm not really surprised MLB is like behind the ball on prop bets. But you think, like, hey, if we're going to do this, someone would sit down and say, here's how it's going to work. Here's some of the problems we can foresee. Here's what's happened in other sports. Let's get some limitations in place and put some guards up so this doesn't happen to us. And it's like they sat back and waited for the problem to happen, and then they reacted rather than being more proactive. That's the part I just don't understand.
I think it's for these newer leagues, not newer to sports betting. To the NFL has kind of set the standard.
Yeah.
Or if you look at soccer in Europe.
Yeah.
Okay. They've had lots of ongoing problems. They've seen a lot of these types of scenarios. Soccer isn't as easily manipulated as MLB. Probably the most subject or suspect to manipulation. But so MLB should have gotten out in front of this. I agree with you, Tim. But I think it's also going to be a partnership between these sports books, the state regulatory agencies, and the league. They've got to communicate better. And they do with the NFL. And they just don't with MLB. NHL, I think, is at risk here.
Yeah.
Because that's not really been a traditionally heavily betted sport.
But PK Subban, who played in the NHL, was one of my halves, one of my favorite players. I got traded, and I still taste the bile when I think about that. His dad.
We're going to have a discussion about PK Subban one day, by the way.
Pardon me?
We'll have a PK Subban discussion one day. Who's got two thumbs is not a fan this time.
Okay, don't go there. You're my friend. I want to keep it that way. Anyway, his dad is in the forefront trying to get sports, the DraftKings 365 banned from advertising
Yeah.
at games. I mean, we had to do it with tobacco, and they limited heavily with alcohol, and he wants it banned at NHL games because it's just a can of worms. I mean, people are going to bet on sports regardless. You might as well make it regulated so you have some sort of control over it. But you have to have the controls. I mean, going back to soccer, I read an article, over 1,000 players in the Turkish soccer league got suspended over betting scandals. I mean, the scandals aren't new. And it's like, guys, you have to get out front of this because it's going to be a huge problem. And it's like the steroid era. People find out guys are cheating. People don't go to games. And it's...
Yeah.
Well, I think, the biggest problem is that lives are being ruined because it's a very addictive thing. You get that high of making a win. Now you want to win more.
Yeah.
Now you want to win a bit more. And they say,
The
know your
endorphin
limits,
rush.
play within it. They want that rush. I think that it should either be completely outlawed or that the limitations put on it.
Yeah.
Max bet, $5.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Go ahead and put, if you're going to sit there and tap your app 5,000 times of $5 bets, then you got an issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's an issue.
People are trying to make their living off gambling.
Yeah, and gambling addiction is nothing new.
No.
There was a controversy in Chilliwack where they wanted to build a new casino, and the money from the casino would go to support other community associations in town.
Yeah.
And a lot of people stood up and said, "Well, this is terrible, gambling addiction, blah 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 blah." And the mayor, Sharon Gates at the time, took a real leadership because I find this really hypocritical. Whenever someone comes to city council wants to open a new bar with drinking, no problem. We don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, gambling comes up with casinos that now we can regulate it, keep it out in the open where you can regulate it, and now there's an issue, right?
Yeah.
So it passed, and so far as I know, things are okay at the Chilliwack Casino. I don't go, so I don't know, but I haven't heard seen any police raids, people's houses. But gambling addiction's out there. It's always been there. I'm of the mind, if you ban it, you have no control. And it's underground and you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So keep it out in the open where it's regulated, where you can put in limitations on the apps on your phone as how much you can bet.
Yeah.
And get rid of the prop bets or limit it to like $50 or $10.
Yeah.
No one should be betting $500,000 in the color of Gatorade, for God's sakes. Keep it light.
Yeah.
And if you want to go and find some bookie somewhere and waste everything you've earned and haven't earned on that sort of thing, well, it's out of their control. Like, you can't blame us for that. We don't let people do this.
So last Super Bowl, we had some people over for the Super Bowl. Buddy of mine's there, and he's watching his phone, and me and my other friend are giving him a hard time because we knew he was gambling.
Yeah.
Right? We knew he was betting, and he likes to bet.
Sure.
Right? So my wife and my other buddy's wife are there too, and he hits. He's like, I just won $5,000. My wife's like, oh my God, you should do that, honey. I'm like, how much did you bet to win that $5,000? $3,000.
Yeah.
Do you want me to lose $3,000, honey? Come on.
Next question.
That's the thing. You don't bet with what you can't afford to lose. And
But
I
that's
can't
the
afford
rush.
to lose anything, right?
The problem is that's the rush.
Well, it's the thought that you're going to double that money. So we'll go to a casino once every 6 months, right? My wife goes and she likes to be the one-armed bandit. She sits there for about an hour, right? Puts in 20, maybe $40.
Yeah.
I take 100, maybe $200, and I go sit at a card table, right? Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But that's my cost of the entertainment for the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to go back tomorrow to try and make that $200 back.
No.
And that's the problem with prop bets, is because they've lost some money, so now they're going to throw some more money at this prop bet to try and make back the money they lost. You got to look at gambling as entertainment. If it entertains you, you enjoy doing it, you get that rush, then you only spend the money you can afford to.
Yeah.
Not your rent, not your diaper money,
Yeah.
not your car payment, just what you can afford to lose.
Yeah.
So if I have,
Yeah.
like I said, if I have a couple $100 and we're going to go to the casino, I'll take it out. If I only got $40, I'll take it out. That's what I do. I leave my bank card in the car. But I don't even think there should be bank machines in the casino.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? So
You can ban cigarette machines. You can do with cash machines.
you get those are in the
Yeah,
casino
so
still
the-
too.
Are they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there's a
net
cigarette
here-
machine in the casino.
No way.
The net
It's-
here, though, is you can't put this genie back in the bottle,
No.
No.
right? Like, it's out. So now I think we've got to figure out what the parameters and limits are. One other thing I wanted to bring up on this really quickly, guys, is the level of player harassment
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
been going on. So Graham Gano, kicker for the Giants, actually received death threats
Yeah.
for missing a field goal
Yeah.
that didn't trigger a prop bet.
Yeah.
Not just from one person, like
Yeah.
multiple serious, credible, police-involved death threats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
See,
so
when that happens,
that's when
you
you
have
know
to
it's
go to
gotten
the
out of
police.
control.
Yeah, you have to go to
I'm sorry.
official. Like, look what's happening, and those people have to get banned from their respective
Yeah.
DraftKings.
Yeah.
There has to be responsibility within the professional gaming community to control the people
Yeah.
who they're making millions of dollars off of that shouldn't be gambling, right? It's
And
you know,
guys
if you're an alcohol,
probably know this. My real job, I'm in the digital advertising business, right? And you were talking about Subban's dad trying to limit in arena advertising, etc. In the States, FanDuel is the premier title sponsor of the largest group of regional sports networks. So, as an example, my beloved St. Louis Blues play hockey on FanDuel Sports,
yeah,
right? So, the money that DraftKings and FanDuel have been pumping into advertising on your phone, your streamed connected TV, it's in the order of hundreds of millions.
oh yeah, the cash is
So you're not going to stop
indisputable.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if Las Vegas can get the mafia out of gambling in Las Vegas, MLB, NBA, and NFL can do something about these prop bets.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, well,
it's,
one of the,
it's doable.
One of the leaders kind of stepping up here quickly is the Nevada Gaming Control Board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're like, all right, we gotta put some limits on this.
yeah. Because they really, I mean, like I said, people have always gambled. This is nothing new, and now it's just out in the open, and they're the ones that are getting hurt. Like DraftKings are the ones taking the beating on this as much as the individuals, and it hurts their brand.
Yeah.
So it's really important for them to take a leadership role in this and to say, you know, we're not going to, okay, this has gotten out of hand. We're dealing with it. Because, I mean, they can deal with it or the government can deal with it. And when the government gets involved, it becomes like cumbersome, right?
Well, and that's the thing. The government is involved now. The American government has stepped in and is involved. I think Canada's a bit better with limitations, what they can and can't do. But in the United States, I mean, it's the Wild West down there, right? So, but Congress,
Every state has its own rules.
yeah,
Yeah.
So, as an example, in Washington State, you can't use DraftKings or FanDuel or Underdog or any of the different apps. They don't work in Washington State.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
You go across the border to Oregon, they work.
Okay.
So, because they've got different rules about sports apps on your phone.
Okay.
yeah. Here's the funny part, Bill, is because I'm in IT, and I can throw a VPN on your phone that it will work.
VPN, yeah.
You know, and you
Can
know,
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
put
throw
a VPN
you throw
on
an
your phone
obstacle. You throw an obstacle in front of it, they're going to find a way to get around it. Like you said, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, right?
No.
We at work took away streaming because we got guys who were running $1 million CNC machines watching videos on their phone. So we took away streaming off the Wi-Fi, right? Walked by the other day, the guy's watching. I look, he's on data. He's like, I got 200 gigs of data a month. I don't care. I'll just watch it on this.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
people are just going to find a loophole, a way around it.
Sure.
It's you got to start at the source, and the source is the companies that are taking the bets have to be limited on what they can and can't do.
Right.
Right. And then that makes the shady guy in the locker room the go-to again. Right. And that's illegal. So the police have to deal with that. Right. So it's really funny how we're rolling down this road. Yeah, the Roman Empire took 1,200 years to collapse, and the depravity at the end with the gambling and the
orgies,
manipulation and the orgies.
I never get called for orgies, and it's really unfair.
The Americans are fast tracking.
What
They're at 250
are the
years of
odds
Oh.
on Tim getting called for a Roman orgy? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, I just, I say it again. I'll tell you a story. I'm 16. We moved to Toronto from Montreal, and we're renting a house in this neighborhood, and I got to get a haircut. So I wandered down to the barber shop, and it's this old guy cutting hair in the barber shop, right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm getting my hair cut, and people are walking in with these worried looks on their faces, and they're going to the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing? And I'm not really saying anything, and they're streaming in, they're going to the back, and I'm like, this is weird. Like, this guy doesn't look like he's dealing drugs, for God's sakes. So my grandfather, who grew up in a different era where people would bet on the racetrack all the time, at work you could go, and his thing, trifecta, $2 a bet. He'd go twice or three times a week. He'd only ever bet $2, and he'd pick the trifecta on 2 or 3 different races out of the 8. And he probably did better than break even throughout his life, but that was his thing, $2 each. So he goes in to get a haircut, and he comes back and he goes, hey, that guy's a bookie. I'm like, what? He goes, he's a bookie. I said, are you talking about the people going to the back? He goes, yeah, I saw him coming in. So I started asking him. I said, so, what kind of odds do you get? And he starts talking to the guy about, and the barbershop was a bookie.
Yeah.
And I'd walk past years later, and he'd have like crap for sale in the window because guys are losing their shirts. Literally had a leather jacket for $50, like some guy was obviously in. It was just the craziest thing, right? So, I mean, this is nothing new. I don't like it underground. I like it out in the open where it can be regulated, where we can have these conversations. And if there is a problem with prop bets, they could limit them or just delete them.
Yeah.
And then it's just sort of not their problem anymore. I mean, if you're an alcoholic, every bar in town kicks the guy out of the bar in town.
Yeah.
He gets somebody to go buy the booze for him. Like there's only so much you can do. But at least DraftKings and FanDuel can say, look, this is a problem. We're on top of it. We're going to take care of this. And you can limit the damage of these prop bets, and at the very least get it out of the locker rooms of the pro sports. So $20 million players like Emmanuel Clase don't go to jail for $5,000, which is just a head scratcher.
He's going to be banned for life.
It's for $5,000. It's a head scratcher. I don't.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear some testimony. Why in hell did you take this when you're making $20,000, like $20 million? Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
So, all right. We want to hear from you on this topic, especially. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Off Topic with Tim, Matt, and Bill, where we always go off topic.